Hello everybody, this is Poor Nilsson with Random Art Attack. I hope that you're having a lovely day. Today we're going to be talking about something really cool, how to take one of your models that you've been working a long time on and render it so it looks amazing and actually has the story and the character that you want to show to your clients or to the world or whatever. So here I have a dragon that I've sculpted for a Kickstarter that I'm running. You can check that on the link below. Anyways, I think it looks pretty cool, right? I want to show this off. I even have it textured. That's looking pretty cool up right there. So I kind of go into the camera mode I want, maybe zoom in a little bit where I want, Control-Alt-0, get my camera view where I want that, maybe just move it a little bit. So there's some empty space here to breathe, and then I hit F12. And once you know it, it looks like garbage. It looks like utter garbage. Everything I've been working on looked better in the preview than it did in the render. I might as well just take a snipping tool, don't do this, and just kind of like snip this and put it into a video editing program or image editing program, excuse me. Don't do that. That's bad. That's really bad. Why doesn't this look like our render? Well, it's really quite simple. Right here, this button right there shows us what is going to be rendered. So all we really need to do is add lights. There's no lights in our scene. So Shift A, light, point, and you can go ahead and move this around. If you are new to lighting, one of the best ways to light something is with 3 lights. You put one light over here to kind of give it fill. You put one light over here to give some highlights, and you can move it up or down depending on where you want it. And then you put one light, so I'm just saying Shift D, behind the object to kind of give it some rim light. So as I move this, do you see how there's some rim light right there? And that is already a marked step in the right direction, right? Now, as I play around with these, I can click the light, go to this light bulb right there. The radius will increase the softness of the shadows. So bigger, the softer, smaller, the harder the shadows are. I kind of like hard shadows on my object, so 0.1 right there. And then I can also increase the intensity of this. So I can go up to 25 or so. Now that looks like it's really blown out and not very good, but look right here. You're getting a lot better details on some of these things. So I'd rather have too much light than not enough. So let's go to maybe 20, and that's okay. Now I'll select this one up here. I'll change this up to 20 as well. Maybe move it a little bit closer. Move it down just a little bit. And I like that. I'm getting some really nice shadows there, some really nice shadows there. And I'm liking how that's looking. Last but not least, this one in the back. I could increase the radius here because this doesn't need to cast shadows, right? And then let's increase this to 50 just to see what happens. Did you see how we're starting to get some rim light? I don't want it that much, so maybe drop this down to 0.4. But I'm liking the rim light that it's putting right there. I'm liking the light that it's putting on these toes. And so I like that already. And there we go. If I rendered this now, you can see that this is significantly better. Now, you still got the Blender gray, which we don't want. So how do we get rid of that? Go ahead and go back into the camera right there. This is render properties. And go down to film, turn on transparent. And now when I render this, it'll be transparent and I can add any color in imaging editing software after the fact that I want to. So again, that is right here, render properties, film, transparent. There's also something else I want to do. I want to add ambient occlusion, okay? Right off the gate, this is 100 times better than what we started with. Let's go ahead and render this again, and there you go. But what if I wanted even more contrast and brighter brights, darker darks, things of that nature? Well, this is where I go into the compositing. Now, every time someone says compositor, some people get really scared. Don't worry, it's really not that bad. You go to compositing, check. Go to use nodes, check. And then I just go into like calculus. See, so easy, isn't it? No, it really is easy. I'll show you. First thing I want to do is search for a viewer. This allows me to see what my render is going to look like. So I put it right there. And you can see that it's kind of too big to work with, right? So how can I make that smaller? I can go up to output properties and change this just down to 25%. And now when I render that, it's going to look much more manageable, right? Let's increase the brightness contrast. So Shift A, search, brightness contrast. Slap that in between the image and this. I can change the brightness up if I want to. I kind of like the brightness as it is, I think. Let's change the contrast to 2. See what difference that makes. That is looking pretty good. It even made it kind of look saturated, which you want. Maybe my brightness to 0.5. Bring back some of that natural color. And already that looks amazing. We got it. Okay? Now, as good as this looks, Eevee has limitations, and it does kind of look a little plasticky, which is kind of okay for this since it's going to be a plastic printable figure, right? But you can go to cycles, and I'm going to change my max samples down to like 20. I don't need a whole lot. Let's go back to layout, and look how cool that looks. Like, so we used Eevee to set up the lighting so we didn't have to play around, but this is looking great. Maybe we can get a better image right here. So Control-Shift-0. Unhide that camera, move that up. That looks pretty cool to me, okay? But did you notice we've lost the ambient occlusion right there? Where did it go? Cycles doesn't have ambient occlusion, or at least it doesn't have it super straightforward. What you do is you come to this button right here, View Layer Properties, go down to Ambient Occlusion, and this will show you, if you go to Compositing, ambient occlusion right here. So again, those 3 little pieces of paper, or whatever that is, turn on ambient occlusion or turn it off. You'll see it changing right there. On, off, on, off, on. You want it on. You hit Shift A, look for a color ramp. Just go ahead and pipe your ambient occlusion into this, not your color. Okay. You won't see anything because you have to re-render this, because that was a Eevee render. Let's do cycles. All right. And now you can see we have this ambient occlusion. If you move the black slider there, you can get darker darks. If you move the white slider there, you can get less shadow, whatever you like. But let's mix this with the actual image. So Shift A, search, mix, right here. The image will go here. The ambient occlusion will go here. Let's multiply this and do a factor of about 0.3, okay? We can pipe that back into our brightness contrast. And I don't know if you've noticed the difference. This is without ambient occlusion. This is with 100%. And I liked 30%, 0.3. That is my image with ambient occlusion. And there we go. That looks way, way good. I sound way, way good. What is that even from? I don't know. Anyways, this is the high quality content you get. You get for what you pay for, I guess. Unless you're a patron, then you don't get what you pay for. Thanks for the support. Anyways, that's how I get some renders. Let's go back into it. Let's make sure we understand this. Ambient occlusion into a color ramp, multiply it, go into the brightness, make sure that the viewer isn't what it's going to render. You actually have to do it into the composite right there. So now when I actually render this thing, it's going to be great. And let's go back and render this sucker. So here's the image. It looks so good. Go to output properties, change that back to 100%. Okay. Go to render properties, and let's change this to maybe a max sample of 50. This should be really good, and I think we're going to like the results. So let's render that with F12. Isn't that cool? Look how good that looks. That is amazing. So you can go ahead and save this out. save as, and then just make sure that RGBA is on so that you can get the alpha. And then you can take it into your favorite imaging editing program software and you can render that out. You can see some low polyness to this, right? That's because this is a miniature that's going to be printed at that scale. So I decimate this for that reason. If you liked this tutorial, give me a thumbs up. Consider being a patron on my Patreon. Also, I'm running a Kickstarter where this monster right here, let's go ahead and exit out of this. This monster right here is actually a 3D printable miniature. And so if you play D&D or do 3D printing, go check that out. And if you don't do that, that's totally fine. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye.